Hello, my good people. It is so good to see you and to be here and to be part of the internet again. And to anyone who's been following along, I'm very sorry that I underestimated how much time it would take me to get my internet back up. But here I am, finally and at last, and I got a really big shoe for you. A really big shoe. So what we're here to do today is go over a video that I made, which is a compilation of clips from Burnt Toast and B. Tim's full reading of Bullhorn Betty's deposition in her case against Queen Bee. The thing that basically made her panic and swallow her pride and back out of the case. Okay, so we're going to go through the clips that I believe, the parts of the deposition that I believe caused her to panic. And also the things that I believe that she knew that if they were played in court, in a real court of law, she would be even further humiliated and have to swallow even more pride. So we're going to do that. But first, oh, thank you, Cat Incognito. Hello, everybody coming in. So good to see you all. But first, I have two very quick PSAs, like community type PSAs. One for the stream today and another for just the community in general. So the first one is that every time I do a video or stream about Bullhorn Betty, I always get trolls that are probably from the many accounts that she admitted to having in her deposition. So if a troll comes in and says nasty things, and you can always tell it's either her or one of her rabid supporters. They say nasty things, just ignore them. I'll get to them. Or if you don't think I see it, just say troll and I'll delete it. You know, I'm just used to it with her by now. So that's the first PSA. The second PSA is about somebody who exists in our community who literally, I call her the White Walker. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, you know, I found some video of her in the wild. And as soon as I play this, I think you'll know who I'm talking about. I call her the White Walker, but here she is in the wild. I think you know who I'm talking about, right? So this White Walker lurches from kill to kill in this community. She has her pea-sized brain that is only programmed to hunt and find prey, goes out and finds people who have experienced horrific trauma and then figures out how to make mincemeat out of it, how to chew it up and spit it out. And I've seen this person do this at least 5 times to 5 different people over the course of these years, to the extent that she did to Elevated Truth the other day. I'm one of them as well. As long as that woman, that White Walker, gets any sort of attention, what a lack of attention for her is like Dragonstone for the White Walkers in Game of Thrones. Okay? Lack of attention. As long as she gets attention, she will, no question. There is absolutely a guarantee, 1,000% guarantee, that there will be more Elevated Truths whose childhood traumas are ripped to shred, blamed on them. And remember, these are people that experience these things in childhood by no fault of their own. And she's tearing apart that child. Okay? So it's a guarantee. Now, I'm not the type of person that says, if you entertain her, you talk about her, you give her attention, I don't like you anymore and you're a terrible person. I don't feel that way. I like people to figure it out on their own. But please don't say I didn't warn you. I've been warning people for months without trying to give her too much attention. So this is about, I'm sure this will generate some sort of disgusting, vile White Walker response from her, and that's okay. I'm impervious to her bullshit. But I just want you to know, there's just a guarantee. It's a well-documented, well-tread pattern. Okay. And so those are basically my PSAs. Give her attention. No question, there will be more people like Elevated Truth. The other is just ignore Betty's nasty trolls. Okay, so for the main event, also real quickly, I want to thank Sherry and Stargazer Mom and Dreams for becoming new members of Drogon's Fire. So, please welcome yourselves to being breakers of chains. Yes, because that's ultimately what I'm trying to do here, is get people to stop using the type of thinking that causes more trauma in future generations. Okay. So, and that's interesting. It says you became a new member, Sherry, and then it says you're a member for 2 months. I wonder if you have 2 different accounts or something. Anyway, so now let's get to our main event. And I want to let you know the full reading, the full read through is worth watching. Okay. Yeah, I think it is better, Caroline. I think it is better once I finally fixed it. Thanks for noticing. It's very well worth going through the full, watching the full read through by Burnt Toast and B. Tim. They did an amazing job. And I put the links to the streams in the description, but I just want to give a shout out to B. Tim and Toasty for those awesome streams and the awesome read throughs. And thank you for doing that service, because it actually takes a lot of work to actually get a transcript like that, do all the redactions and all that stuff. But I also want to say this. I have a huge amount of compassion for Queen Bee right now, because I know she's fucking pissed. And if I were her, I would be absolutely out of my mind with rage after going through 2 years of knowing that these people are lying and they're not admitting that they're lying, and then have to wait for 2 years for a deposition that Bullhorn Betty kept pushing off, delay, try to get restraining orders for the attempt of doing the deposition for the lawsuit that she filed, is out fucking rageous. To find out that there are people in the community who aren't even friends with her really anymore, who lied for her that entire time. How fucking disgusting. How can any true crime creator, streamer, or video maker be trusted if they're willing to keep to lie like that? Just bold-faced lie. It is absolutely disgusting and outrageous and repulsive. I was neutral before on Dolly. I'm not anymore. I think he's a coward and a fucking dick for what he did. Really low. How the fuck can you trust any word that comes out of that asshole's mouth? We already know that about Betty, but he's a very likable streamer, and I understand why people like him. But goddamn, what a fucking dick to do that to somebody. So I understand Queen's outrage, and I'm very happy for her that this is over. I'm very happy for her that this is over. And I'm sure the feelings about it aren't over. But the showdown, the legal showdown with Betty is over. And now Betty, Betty, for her part, is coming out and 100,000 timing down and saying that she's going to continue to legally pester Queen and several other people, right? So let's take a step back right now. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture now. We've got a woman who has now been literally humiliated in court 2 times over, the RICO filing and then this lawsuit, right? And she wants to go in for more. Why is that, you guys? Why does she want to go in for more? It's working out for her somehow. It's either working out financially or emotionally or both. She's getting a benefit out of that. And you all are paying for it. You are paying, and I'm talking about the rabid supporters of people like Bullhorn Betty and this person who continues to say,
we just want it to stop. That is it. That is it.
What is the it? What is the it that you want to stop? Now you will say, I want the harassment to stop. I want the stalking to stop. None of you have ever proven that anybody is harassing or stalking you. And if this deposition with Betty is not a stark raving example of what you will look like if you get to the deposition stage, you clearly are getting some other benefit out of grifting from your subscribers for this bullshit. Because now let's talk about what is it that you want to stop. What you really want to stop is for people to express negative opinions for you. Well, you might as well say that you're going to go out and turn the entire sky purple permanently all over the world. You will get the same result because you cannot stop people from having negative opinions about you and sharing them. And from what I can see, no one is crossing that line into harassment and defamation. I can't see that happening on the side of the people that Brittany continues to threaten, who she sent C&Ds to, and also the people that Betty continues to go after. These people just keep going over and over and over, looking for validation from the courts that they know by now they will never, ever get. So go ahead and throw your money at somebody who tells you that they're going to paint the sky purple permanently, because you're going to get the same result. Zilch. In fact, you're going to get total and complete worldwide humiliation. Okay? So those are the few things I wanted to say up front before I pull up the clips of the video. And welcome everybody in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. So I shared this video with members first, but in the next 12 to 24 hours, I will make it public. I just wanted to share it with them first and then give you my commentary over it, and then I'll share it publicly. But it's basically 20 minutes worth of what I think caused her to lose. And the too long don't read on why I believe she lost is because she had no legal standing. She had not one good legal argument. She made major claims, showed no proof of those claims, and was caught in a multitude of lies. Those are the legal reasons. The other softer, more, squishy reasons, or ones that I think cause her to panic, is that she exposed herself. She exposed herself to so much more scrutiny by the things that she admitted. For instance, that she didn't pay taxes for 2 years. She hasn't paid taxes for 2 fucking years, you guys. Hey, Shift, good to see you. She hasn't paid taxes for 2 fucking years. And then she comes out here on this internet and pontificates and grandiose with all sorts of grandiosity, right? About what other people, that she just gets on her fucking high horse and looks down on everybody as if they are the plebeians, or I don't know, the peasants who never do anything right, but she does everything right. When in the meantime, she had to admit that she hasn't paid taxes in 2 fucking years. So she very likely could have triggered, if she continued to go to trial and the more attention this got, she could trigger an audit. And I think she panicked about that. But also her fucking behavior. She's the one who initiated this lawsuit, and the entire time she was pushing back on it, delaying it, trying to make it keep going. What does that tell you? It means that she was getting something out of keeping it going. What was it? Financial support. And she even admitted that she used legal fund money for her Tennessee lawyers. She used that money that she raised for those lawyers to go to Charlie Kirk's funeral. What the fuck, man? When are people going to just stop looking at and going, oh, that's normal. That's okay. That's okay. I'm going to throw money at them to, paint the sky purple. So, with all of that said, why don't we get into the video and then I will commentate over it, and we'll take it from there. And one last thing I want to say, though, is also, I don't give a fuck how much money, whether Brittany J's receipts are valid. She's getting, if she has a lawyer that took her money to write those C and Ds and make those legal arguments, she's getting scammed. She's getting fucking hella scammed. The only people who win in these civil lawsuits are lawyers. And did I say lose or win? The only people who win are the lawyers, because they're the ones who are getting paid hell of a lot of money. And when you do have a good, and this is another reason that's not a legal reason, but just a strategic reason that Betty had to back out, is good lawyering. The lawyer, I don't think people, I pulled this out because I don't think people are aware of this fun legal fact. Okay. A fun legal fact. And that is that 98% of cases that are filed, of litigation cases that are filed, go to trial. And you know where they die in most situations? At the deposition stage. Sometimes they die before that. But at the deposition stage, when you get a good lawyer in there who is well prepared and knows how to answer questions, but also strategically knows how to get get the respondent into a flow, and then quickly change up the subject so they're caught off guard. And so I don't think people really appreciate the lawyering skills that it took, because, and I'm pretty sure that lawyer went in there knowing that this deposition could kill the case. And it most certainly did. And a lot of that was because of the way he approached it. So kudos to the lawyer. So, and I'm going to point out in, these clips where, like, put a little bit more of a fine point on that with these clips. So with that, here we go.
and a claim for tortious interference, correct?
Correct.
And for defamation,
So this first clip was just so people had a general idea, had the, overview idea of Betty's claims. These are Betty's claims. Yep. Yep. Fucking cowards. What fucking horrible. What? Oh, I'm sorry. I just can't get over how shitty that is. I just can't get over how shitty it is. All right. So the first clip gives you an overview of Betty's claims.
you allege that a statement about you having sex with Dolly, aka Dolly Vision, or sexual intercourse with someone named Dolly, aka Dolly Vision, is defamatory, correct?
I don't know that. I don't think that's the actual defamatory aspect of it. I think her saying I screwed him.
So one of Betty's biggest problems in this entire deposition is her inability to just say yes or no, and to because they're not looking for a conversation in these depositions. They're looking for yes or no answers, and sometimes there's a cause to elaborate, but that's not what it's there for. And she couldn't stop herself from elaborating. And every time she elaborated, hi lip locked, hi everybody coming in. Every time she elaborated, she dug herself a deeper hole, literally.
Him in a car is the defamatory part. I think that the harassment nature of it and the malicious nature of the statement is the defaming part of it, because it didn't happen.
So again, I want to know.
You hear that? You hear that right there at the top of the deposition. She says that's a defaming part because it didn't happen. What didn't happen? That you screwed or that you slept in a car? But why? Why did you? So this is one of the massive lies that she got very tripped up on. She knew, and several people knew, that this was a lie for 2 full fucking years. Okay.
Know exactly what was said. All I've gotten so far that QB said is that you were in the back seat of a car with Dolly.
Let me clarify I don't know specifically verbatim what she specifically said.
So do you recall whether or not there is a URL in the Second Amendment complaint where we can see that QB said that was defamatory?
I'm unsure without looking at it.
You allege that my client also said that you had sex with JLR, correct?
And she did.
And you were in a relationship with JLR, right?
Yep.
Did you ever have sexual contact with JLR?
Yes, sir.
So if my client were to say that you had sex with JLR, that wouldn't necessarily be false, would it?
She had no knowledge.
Do you hear that right there? Do you hear that right there? Hey, B Tim. If it, actually, I'm going to share the StreamYard link. If you want to come up, B Tim, and elaborate on any of this stuff, you're welcome to join. Hold on a second. There you go. If you want, no pressure. So it doesn't matter whether that's not part of defamation. That is not part of defamation. To say, wait, let me put this up real quick, because I just yep, that looks like you. Hello.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
All
So,
right, the usual. In
case you just got here, what I did was I consolidated the clips that I felt were the ones, the clinchers, that either legally or just because of her own fear of more exposure made her panic and pull out.
Yeah.
That was a terrible way to put it.
Yeah, especially with the topic you're going to get into. It definitely is.
Yes, exactly.
It's not a good word to say. Bad word to, you know what I mean? You got it. You got it.
Exactly. So what Betty had to prove was that it was for her claim to go through here was that Queen said this about her and knew it was a lie and said it anyway,
Yeah.
maliciously, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But it was true.
Yeah.
And so what but it was true. And Betty knew that. And she knows that. And then of course she admits it here in this
Well,
deposition.
what is the ultimate defense for defamation?
To the truth. Like, you know.
That's why she lost her case. She was like, the defamation was they said I had sex with Dolly in a car. It's like, no, that was never said. If you watch this clip, it says sleep in a car. I don't know where people think sleep is the same as sex. I think they're
Right.
two different words.
Right. Well, even then, even then, she was just playing semantics because she knew it was true.
Yeah.
She knew it was true, and so did he. And he read off the fuck that steamed me up, man.
Yeah, Quinn was quite pissed off last night. I tried to calm her down.
I only caught a part of Queen's chat stream, but so I didn't hear all of her ranting about it. But I understand it. I truly do.
I think if he would have came forward, if that claim was not put in there, probably at the most she would have been able to do this bullshit was probably a year. It would have been max. If not, the whole thing would have been, and it would have been dismissed with prejudice. And we probably would be at trial right now for the countersuit type of deal. And there would be way less money spent. The guy lied. And at the very and he kept quiet and then threatened to sue Queen, stating that it was defamatory for him to claim that, for her to claim in her filings about him and the relationship with her and him in filings. So,
Right. Delicate Titanium is asking, what does everyone think about Betty saying she's going after Burnt Toast and B. Tim in federal court, and that one court will also be against QB or something along those lines? I addressed this a little bit earlier. Not that I expect you to have heard it. You might have just come in. Mm-hmm. But it's complete bullshit. It's absolute fucking bullshit. For her to quadruple 1,000 times down on going to court again after all of these humiliating losses, the RICO loss, this loss, many other, she must be getting something out of it. She must be getting something out of it to keep doubling down and tripling down and wanting to go back to court. Well, what is she getting out of it? She's getting some sort of probably financial or emotional remuneration or both.
I think in terms of, I think as like a person whose pride is damaged, they are just stating whatever it is.
Yes.
To make their pride feel better. I think she knows she fucked up that deposition. She knows that she destroyed any future cases because at the end of the day, it could be pointed out that she has a history of frivolous lawsuits. This is the transcript points out that she lied with her previous complaints.
Yep.
And that could be easily going to her credibility in any sort of trial. Number two, I mean, federal court is it's a different ball game with that one. I don't know what claims she can bring against me or Burnt Toast or future claims. I don't know what the fuck she would even think about bringing, to be honest with you.
Jerry, I don't know. I've been actually questioning that in my head myself, but I honestly didn't feel compelled to go look to find out.
She hasn't been successful in any lawsuit. The most successful she ever had was basically with the crude settlement, basically, which was basically he didn't want to deal with this crazy woman anymore. But back then, she had a lot more backup. She had JLR. She had a lot of people backing her up. Now she's by herself, and I think, it's a lot less of a situation. And also, it's like, what claim is she going to bring to anyone? Reading a transcript is perfectly legal and is a public record. She did have sex with Dolly. She did have sex with JLR, so anyone can joke around. And in America, you can joke around with that all the time. She has no future claims.
Also, she did defame full on. She full on defamed Queen Bee with her comments about selling drugs to kids.
Oh yeah, and and that cleared it up in the transcript. So it's like
Yep.
another thing is she would have to find me. That's another thing. And if she did find me and she did do like a cease and desist on me, I would immediately go to the court with a ridiculous thing. I would immediately do a declaratory judgment. I'm going to do what Granny did and force her into New York City, and then I'm going to tell the judge to do every single time. We're going to just do in person. I'm going to deny every single time for fucking and torture her. If it gets through, I'll just do a pro se and probably stretch it out for 5 years. I'll make sure she sits there for 5 years. I'll fuck up every single, like, oh, I fucked up my amended. I need to re-amend, Your Honor.
Oh, darn.
Oh, darn. I need more time, Your Honor.
I missed my dog.
I need an extension, Your Honor. I need more time. I'm
Yeah.
just going to fucking extend it to 5 years. I don't give a fuck. I'll pro se it. What are you going to win? You're not going to. If I can't get it dismissed immediately, I'll just drag it on for 5 years and let you suffer. Let her suffer in court and come to New York City every time.
Right. Rowena, I agree with that as well. But clearly she isn't looking at the track record of another YouTuber who did this times 19 times to other people and failed so hard that she never threatens litigation anymore.
Yeah.
She doesn't touch it because she was so fucking humiliated herself in court. This should be humiliating enough for her to not ever want to touch another lawsuit again. But I think you're right. She gets to pretend and play official, and that she has some assumed authority because she's dealing with the courts, and it's complete and utter bullshit. She kept calling the RICO case federal, and it wasn't federal. So there's no. How could anyone believe a fucking word out of that woman's mouth after what she did? She lied for 2 years and grifted like hell off of it. And meanwhile, accusing Queen Bee of the most atrocious fucking things. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. So anyway, power trip is a good way to put it. Let's go, Brandon. All right, let's keep going. And BJ, I put at the end where you did the court reporter voice. I thought it was so fucking funny.
I tried to do a woman's voice, but it didn't help too much.
It was pretty funny. All right, let's keep going.
But you're right. It would not necessarily be false. But she had no knowledge before making those statements.
No knowledge does not make defamation. In fact, if she had no knowledge it would have to be a lie for it to be defamation. You asshat.
Yeah. Did you ever overnight camp or otherwise sleep in a car with him?
We've done both. I've camped with him out in North Carolina.
So what I'd like to point out is that he asked that question out of the blue after asking a completely different line of questions. And so that gets a more raw. It's not unethical to do that. It's not unethical to do that. That's just good lawyering. Okay. He isn't doing anything manipulative. Mm-hmm. He's just asking questions in a certain, and police do this as well. They'll ask you a series of questions. They'll get you into a rhythm and a lull, and then they'll go boom.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting to think the reason why she sued Queen about sleeping in the car, if you listen to this as, I've camped with him in North Carolina. I was forced to sleep in a car in Oregon. I'm like wondering, like, was she camping in North Carolina and that's where the sexual contact occurred? Like, I'm starting to wonder. And she got pissed off about that, sleeping, and she thought she could sue. That's what I just think.
It's great. So lie for years and years in a lawsuit and create just chaos in the community because you didn't want people to think you slept in a fucking car. Jesus.
Or has had sex.
Sex
with this man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, in the end of the day, she had sex with both of these guys. JLR
and they went along with it. They went along with the lie.
JLR.
You all are a bunch of dicks, man.
JLR, I figured he's fucking just, he never contacted Queen. He never did say anything. So it's like, whatever with that guy. But like Dolly was like, PJ was in the chat for over like a couple of times. Like, she was in the chat multiple times. And we were really nice to that lady. Like, we could have easily clowned her for released messages or really gone hard on her. And we were fucking, believe me, we were a lot nicer to that lady than she ever has been to us. And it's
Oh,
just,
hell yeah.
you know what I
I
mean?
know.
And
I've been watching this whole time. Well, not the entire time, but a lot of the time.
And you know, I mean, like, and the guy could have, you know, and if he didn't want to be brought into a lawsuit, he could have, the first day that filing came in and he read that his name was there, he could have went up to Betty and be like, hey, can you pull me out of this? I don't really want to be in this fucking filing. You know, when I know this is a lie,
Yep.
just don't put me in this fucking filing. And you don't even, and then what happens is that if that was done, that there would be no questions about Dolly. There would be no questions about sexual contact with Dolly, because that would be objectable and that would never be allowed in court.
Right.
You know, so.
Right. And then, you know, then her other claims would be, oh, she got my channel terminated. Well, there's all kinds of discussion about that. It wasn't terminated. It was suspended, and it wasn't because of anything Queen Bee did.
I have a question. This is like a side tangent. Since we're talking about JLR a little bit, it's a side tangent. Did you know that Glaire's channel he privated his entire channel?
Glare, I know why, but I didn't know that. Did he?
Yeah, just today, and then like literally JLR is posting Massachusetts indictments are coming, and then there's like another Karen Reed person who's privated their channel, and it's just like a weird situation.
Yeah, there's so that's one of the things I've been wanting to get on here. I've been so bottled up because I didn't have good internet, man. I tried to go on a panel one day and I was terrible. Like the signal was choppy. But one of the reasons is because of that is there's a big breakup in the Karen Reed case, because Karen Reed came out and said that Turtle Boy recorded her.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of fighting between that. Like a lot of people are very angry with their Turtle Boy, and the Glare was defending Turtle Boy and calling out Karen Reed, stating that she was lying. She needs to offer proof. And I'm like, bro, are you an idiot? Like, you do realize, like, if I had to choose between Turtle Boy or Karen Reed, even, you know what I mean? Like, and I was in the position of the Glare, natural survival would be Karen Reed.
No question. Yep. Exactly. If that's your mindset, I'm going to keep grifting off of this case. There's no question you're going to go with Karen Reed in that situation. No question. You know, and so there's people who are still Turtle writers and they're defending him, but they're also for Karen Reed. So they're really conflicted. There's people who have never liked Turtle Boy, but are still in love with Karen Reed. So they're conflicted, and it's a huge bust up. Huge.
Yeah.
I knew this was coming.
We all knew it was coming. You can't put snakes together in a fucking pit. They bite each other.
Yeah. No question.
Question. But like, I'm wondering, either two things happen. Someone was mass striking his channel and he privated it to just kind of like deal with it and figure it out, or there's some sort of something's coming down the line and he just needs to get rid of stuff. That's the only thing I could think of with that guy.
Right. I'm sure we'll find out, because that's his livelihood, right? I mean, we'll find out. It's, sometimes we just have to be patient to find out what's going on. That's all. We don't always get to know everything right away. As we know in true crime, especially with police investigations, we're not going to find out for quite some time. Like, look at Brian Koberger, what really went down. And then the internet just runs wild with all their fucking theories and get very irresponsible with them.
You know what? I'm going to see if I can get the Karen Reed transcript with civil case and read that. We need to get someone to be like Karen. Maybe you could be Karen. If I pay money, maybe I'll buy the transcript. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you can buy, I think you have to be in the state. Maybe we'll find someone in Massachusetts. Maybe I'll talk to Twisted Tragedies and be like, hey, you live there. If I give you money, can you buy the transcript so we can read it? Because I 100% want to reenact Karen Reed's deposition.
Oh my God. Will you be like, hello?
I'll be Karen Reed. No. I'll be with the woman. Hello. My name is Karen Reed.
The thick Boston accent.
Oh, yeah. Maybe you could be Karen Reed.
Well, no, you're closer to Boston than I am, I think. You're in New York,
shit.
right? You're in New York.
Yeah.
Aussie Trisha, by the way, Trisha, thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate it. All right, let's keep Hey Davis fam. Wait, I think I think all the care people think she wouldn't have won without the attention to be brought to the case. So interesting too to see they had.
True.
Yes, that's absolutely no question.
True. I agree with that. Who do you think did all the witness intimidation?
Yeah.
He did all the witness. He's the one facing 105 years in jail. Why?
All right, so let's keep listening.
Was forced to sleep in a car in Oregon. So yes, I've gone camping. I've slept in a car with him, and I guess it would be considered Oregon and Idaho because of the line. So
Have you ever had sexual intercourse with dolly vision?
yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
Okay, so she so quickly goes from it didn't happen to yes.
Well, I think what happened was, because if you want to read the first day, he's just showing clip after clip after clip. And I think she was worried that he was going to pull out something that would disprove, but just like destroy her. And I think she was like fucking scared. Because that's what I think.
And also, there is something to be said about viewing all of that stuff that she had to see in that 3-hour period in another context through the eyes of other people. You know, it's probably jolting for her to see her own words and her own comments and her own bullshit laid to bear in front of her, knowing that it's all going to be displayed for the world to see, right? And so it's like a context shift, and it kind of makes you see things in a different light and maybe see how ridiculous she was being. You know, I don't know. That's just one. That's maybe a generous interpretation of why she backed out, but that's part of it for me as well. All right.
I'm clear on this. What steps did you take to preserve the evidence that you based paragraph 105 on?
The same as I previously answered.
Which was?
I've taken no steps other than keeping this stuff on my channel.
Okay, so this was another major issue.
No evidence.
No evidence, no proof, and the burden of proof is on her because she initiated the lawsuit.
Well, she wanted, this is something I could probably talk about. She wanted Queen Bee to find the clip that she was alleging was defamatory.
Right.
And she wanted Queen Bee to have her attorney work for her to look for the evidence for her case.
Exactly.
Which is wild.
That entitled bitch. That entitled woman. Unfreaking believable.
I couldn't, you know what I mean? And she wanted that clip. And I'm sitting, I couldn't believe when I heard this, because but I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, you don't, and like, I got so frustrated because it's like, after this deposition, you have to realize that this woman didn't even watch the clip, didn't have the clip, didn't have any evidence. And I'm like, why the fuck did the judge allow this to go this far when she didn't even show any evidence at all?
No proof, no evidence, and over again showed that she didn't do anything to preserve the evidence pursuant to a preservation order. Nothing. She did nothing but didn't delete it. No, that's not preserving evidence, because if she doesn't delete something, it could go away. Google servers may just wipe it out for one reason or another, that you don't know. If you have to physically yourself take the steps that were in the footnote of one of the things that Betty received, there was a footnote that said, to preserve your documents, go to this link, and here's how to do it. And she said she looked at that link, but she didn't take the steps. Fuck you, Betty. She didn't preserve anything. She didn't preserve how she became verified on Twitter. Any proof against Queen Bee, that it was her burden to bring. So this is just
it's wild that this woman literally went to discover with no proof. And it's like, and then she sits there and afterwards, like, she's like, well, I was doing, a favor for Queen Bee, and I just was like, showed her mercy. I'm like, lady, you were toast. Like, you are toast if this went to trial.
And not only that, but she kept delaying and delaying and delaying.
Yeah,
and
well,
delaying.
I think she lost the clip. I think she didn't really, I don't even think she watched the clip. And I think she didn't think this was going to go this far. I really, truly believe she thought it was going to be like another, it's a special type of crazy to want to continue it, to go straight to be like, yeah, we'll just go to litigation. Why not?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't think she thought, Crude was more of a sane person. Queen was like, okay, we'll go to litigation. Okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, she didn't expect that. She's like, oh, fuck.
And I agree with Beautifully Broken. She is completely emotionally driven. I mean, most of the people in this community that, on the RICO side of things are completely emotionally driven while trying to portray that they're basing things on facts that they never, ever fucking prove. Ever. It's just maddening that they get support for this, Oh my gosh. All right.
But this wasn't on your channel, you said.
What are you referring to?
Paragraph 105.
To that, what was the question?
You said that my client
Okay, hold on.
posted on a video on her channel that she
Oh, then I didn't.
said you had sexual intercourse
Yeah, I didn't do.
with, I'm sorry, I have not finished my question.
Okay.
So another major issue, she can't stop interrupting people. She can't listen. She can't control herself from just listening to a full question and then answering it. And she gets over emotional. And I think she was triggered. Hella. Well, we'll get to it, and I'll tell you where I think she got incredibly triggered, and it was strategic for the lawyer to do this.
She said on her channel that you had sexual intercourse, a YouTube by Dolly Vision, and then you had previously stated that you couldn't say exactly what QB said because you'd have to see the video.
Uh-huh.
So I'm asking,
if you are going to file a defamation suit and carry it on for years and delay it and go on your channel day after day and say how right you are and how righteous you are in doing all of this and raise money on that, you better fucking know what was said. Because
isn't that the most wildest thing of this whole thing, that she didn't even watch the fucking video or have it, that she sued someone over?
Insane. Absolutely insane.
And like, I sit there and I like say, what the fuck was the judge doing? Like, did the judge not like say, hey, can I have the video that you're alleging so I can see it, and just look at it? Like, just the absolute failure of the judicial system, in my opinion, to let this circus go on for this long.
Yep.
And it's just a gigantic failure. And I just feel like it's with every single fucking court system, where it's like they are just there to waste your time and not do the thing. Like, if this was like before Judge Judy and we were in small claims court, she'd be like, okay, can I see the video? Boom, done. It would have been done. Be like, you don't have the video? Case dismissed. Fuck off. Like,
Yep. Dispense with it, right? And she would be, and Judge Judy would be sitting there the whole time during this, doing this.
There's something wrong with this, because it's like they treated a pro se litigant like a lawyer when she's not a lawyer, and she's not held to the same standards as a lawyer. She's an idiot. Right.
And they give a lot of leeway to pro se litigants. They give them a lot of, a lot more concessions and, all that shit. But I agree, Lip Locked. So my ex-husband is a brilliant civil litigator, and most of his cases were won on his deposition that he was able to do. He go into a deposition well prepared with, well crafted questions and a good flow, and you've won your case.
What's also driving me nuts is these people sit here and it says, we want the receipts. We want the receipts. I'm like,
oh my God.
Like, do you not see every single filing? Do you think the lawyer worked for crackers and cheese?
It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's like, this is the only part of the internet where you win. They think you not won the case. Like, you get sued, all the things get dismissed with prejudice, you reveal the person's a flat out liar and an idiot, and they still say, well, it's not like she won the case.
Right. And it's true, they're supposed to be held to the same standard, but usually get a lot more wiggle room. But there's also case law where a pro se litigant was able to prove that they should get a little bit more leeway, and the courts are just really careful about it. They're just really careful. They try to be fair. At least most of them do. The good ones do. All right, let's keep going.
What steps you took
to that was funny, B Tim. I thought you started talking again, so I stopped it, but it was you in the video.
Sorry, I keep trying.
My bad.
Observe the video that you're basing the allegation of paragraph 105 on.
Sure. So I've got a spreadsheet that I prepared related to this. I consider it kind of work product.
Did you receive a call from someone saying, quick?
So that was her saying, no, I don't have any. Yes, she did, Jerry. Yes, Lori Daybell got tons of leeway. And it's because the courts, they don't want a retrial. They don't want, a good basis for appeal, that type of thing. So that was her basically saying, let me put it back again, because there was a point I wanted to make.
Sure. So I've got a spreadsheet.
Right. She didn't want to produce any, preserved documents per the court order in the paperwork that she received. Nope, she wasn't going to do that. But she was going to present her prepared spreadsheet that she considers work product. Work product is not discovery.
Yeah, that's the issue when you come with a pro se litigant, is to separate evidence and work product. And if you don't know, work product is basically the notes an attorney writes, their file, their information, things like their personal work product for the case. So right. When you're a pro se litigant, it's kind of hard to separate evidence to work product, and that's the situation. And
right, exactly. And from my understanding, Jerry, the courts, well, I can't speak for all the courts, but sometimes they will accept a screenshot if it can be corroborated. You know what I mean? If the screenshot is corroborated by other things, they'll accept it, but they really want the document with the metadata. So anyway.
That I prepared related to this. I consider it kind of work product.
Did you receive a call from someone saying QB, quote, did so what she said, but I don't think she's the one that was selling anything to children, end quote?
That is correct.
Did you respond with, oh, no, she was? The court record said her name, not the deceased person's name, end quote.
That's correct.
So that was her right there admitting that she said, as a fact, that Queen Bee sold drugs to minors, to children. And then we find out later that she knew that he was able to prove in the line of questioning, very well crafted line of questioning, that she knew that it was a lie. She knew it was a lie.
Yeah, and the issue with her is that she argued her case stupidly. I'm not going to give her tips, but if you were trying to defend yourself from defamation of another person, how she was doing it was not correct. Was not correct at all.
Right.
Because she had to prove that it was she had to prove that what she stated was not with malicious intent, and maybe try to get to a public figure, say, well, she's a public figure and it wasn't with malicious intent. I had evidence and proof and, so and so. But the problem is that she would have to actually, tell people where she got that information and actually call that person probably as a witness, be like JLR or something like that. And then he might be in trouble. So, I mean,
right.
Because that's who she got the information from, JLR.
Exactly. And she kept trying to talk around who she got it from, where it came from, where, what was the information dockets, or was it court records or was it actual police reports? And in the law, when you're in the middle of a lawsuit, you need to be precise about your language and know what the fuck words you're using. And she didn't. She just like vomits words out of her mouth and expects it all to be upheld by the law. And it's not. I almost said it's not. And it's not. So let's keep going.
You respond, "Oh no, she was. The court record said her name, not the deceased person," end quote, correct?
Right.
What court record?
I'm pretty sure it would have been the court records we're referring to related to what was emailed to me, the packet for her, their incident.
We were talking earlier about a packet of information that you later got from, or as you testified today, that you later got from the blank PD, but someone else may have emailed you a copy of before, right?
Correct. And then the ordered package,
Well,
just the initial package, because it wasn't done. Like, I didn't order them.
okay.
You're asking for...
Are those two packages exactly identical?
No.
That's where she knew she was lying, where it was revealed that she knew that it was wrong because the two packets are not identical, but she tried to say that they were the same, right?
Yeah.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but she got one set of things from JLR. She got another set of things from the courts, and they are not identical. She knew that these two people had the same name, but she used the information anyway.
Yeah, what my understanding is she combined like 3 different people into one file.
Right.
And that's what she did. And they were all, and I think they all lived in different states.
Right.
So
yeah, wasn't that the one who was dead in Indiana?
Yeah, and also she compared the file of a woman who did sell drugs in Florida.
Okay.
With Rebecca Turner's name. And it was like a different face.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So she combined three different people. So Rebecca Turner was in Florida, who sold drugs to kids. Obviously, Queen does not live in Florida.
Right.
And it had a different face. So they combined a person from Florida, a dead girl from Indiana, and then Queen Bee, combined them all together and then claimed that was all Queen Bee's records.
Jesus.
And that's the and then Dolly even said that Queen Bee sold drugs to children. Obviously, he deleted that video quickly when a countersuit came around to Betty, but because he didn't want to get hit with a defamation suit. But yeah, that's the situation. So,
and that shows that she surely knew that those were not had good reason to know that those were not records for Queen Bee because they were in different states. And there were other issues around it. So she knew.
Yeah, that's my understanding. So there was like 3 different states, 3 different people. One was dead, and they combined it all together. And the thing is, I think they got it from maybe Jim Terry, who is a notoriously terrible private investigator. My God.
That asshole?
Yeah.
Wow. Really? What an asshole.
So I think JLR got it from him because he doxed, like he was making those claims too. So
right. I remember that. Okay, so when you said court record, it didn't necessarily mean court records. It could mean police reports.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think because when you're live.
I'm sorry. The answer is yes, right?
Yes, sir.
Can people be arrested and charged without actually committing a crime?
I just went through it, so yes.
So contrast her saying, I just went through it. So yes, I do know that you can be charged for a crime while not being guilty. Contrast that with her saying, and I don't have the clip right now to show you. No question, T. Marie. She's probably not hearing me right now, but I totally agree. Darn it. Let me see. So whenever I answer a super chat, not a super chat, a chat, whenever I engage with chat, sometimes I lose what I was just saying, and I'll catch it really quickly. Here, hold on.
Can people be arrested?
Oh, yeah. Okay. She knows that people are innocent until proven guilty, but she went on her own show a few times and said, I'm a guilty before proven innocent type of gal. But until it happened to her, it didn't matter. But still, what this proves is that she stated something for a fact. She knew it wasn't a fact, and she said it anyway. And she knows that you are innocent until proven guilty, which means that she shouldn't have stated it as a fact, because they were just charges that she was saying. They weren't court documents that said closed, convicted, and fined, here's the penalties, all of that. They weren't court documents. They were police records showing charges. So she failed on every single level of her argument here. And she knew she had to know that, because she didn't have a leg she just didn't have a leg to stand on, and she didn't bring the proof of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'll keep going.
And charged without actually committing a crime.
I just went through it, so yes.
Okay, and then you said you just went through it. Was that the case down in Tennessee?
Yes.
So a charge isn't necessary proof of something, is it?
It is not proof of anything.
What's the age of a majority in Illinois?
21, I think. Is that what you're asking?
Okay. Now this segment is about, she is claiming that Queen Bee sold drugs to minors, but can't give a straight answer for what a minor is in Illinois. Can't give a straight answer. Doesn't know the age. Right? So, if you are going to sue somebody on these grounds, you better fucking know what the age of minority is or majority is in a certain state.
Yeah. I just couldn't believe she didn't even know that. You would think you would know that, but she didn't even know that. Yeah, and then it's kind of funny when you contrast her to all her, like, when she's in front of the camera at home and she's acting like, "I'm winning this case, guys. We're doing fantastic."
Yeah,
he's in trouble. He's fucking around, and then you just hear this is like, "Wow, you really had like nothing, lady. You had zero."
Yep. It's, I mean, that's another of the, I put that in the category of cognizance of guilt that she didn't come to the table prepared or knowing the facts that would back up. And who is going to keep seeing her as a serious true crime creator after this kind of fucking performance? And believe all the shit that she says about how amazing, all the amazing knowledge she has about the legal system. The only reason she has knowledge about the legal system is by being a criminal or a defendant. She's never successfully sued anyone, except, as you mentioned, she says she won the case against Crude AF by settling with him. That's not winning. Okay.
Now, I asked you, what is the age of majority is?
Are you saying like 17, 18? I don't know. I have no earthly idea what your age is here.
Okay. Do you know what a minor is?
Yes, it's under the age of 18.
Have you filed taxes for the past 4 years?
Yes. The only outstanding taxes are due right now are 2020.
For the past 4 years, yes. Oh, except for half of that time, I didn't file taxes. So this is another major reason I believe she pulled out. This could very well trigger an audit.
Yeah. I mean, the lawyer can't call up or anything, but eventually,
No. It'll get to on the IRS's radar somehow.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm not like that. I'm not going to call them up. Hello, IRS. Me. I'm not that type of person.
Yeah.
Other people are. You just don't know who's watching you, and also it could be an IRS agent that's watching you.
Also, the fact is that you can't really make a claim for lost earnings if you have not paid your taxes or filed documents.
Exactly. Precisely. A good point, B. Tim. And I was thinking that might have been why she didn't file, because she
Yeah.
thought she would get away with being able to just say, oh, my numbers went down. That's my proof of loss of income. Nope. Sorry. The way that the courts look at your proof of income and loss of income is through IRS tax records. That's how they look. That's how you prove it.
I found it also interesting that the people that struck her for copyright were 3 separate entities unrelated to Queen Bee, but yet it was being blamed on Queen Bee.
Yeah.
I was like, and also one of them occurred, like through all 3 of them occurred after litigation, about a year after litigation. So her bringing it up is kind of wild to me, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
2023 and 2024.
Okay, so in 2023, did you file an income tax return for that year?
No.
Okay, and then what steps have you taken to preserve your 2021 tax return?
It stayed where it's been since. I haven't.
Just for all of you to know, that is not preservation. It's not preservation pursuant to a motion or a court order to preserve your documents and preserve your evidence, to just leave it where it was. That isn't it. You have to take affirmative action. And I don't mean in the political sense. I mean, you need to take action to preserve documents pursuant to your lawsuit.
What you're basically saying, she was supposed to download the videos in a hard drive, a separate, like, external hard drive, and keep it there, basically.
Yeah. And save, not just the links, but the actual video in a hard drive. Absolutely.
Looked for it. Haven't seen it. It's been filed, so I know that the IRS has it.
How much has your revenue went down since QB allegedly defamed you?
So I was.
10%. 10%.
Once again, this is a major legal reason she backed out, because she could not answer a straight question about loss of income. Couldn't answer a straight question about it. If you are going to claim loss of income, you better fucking come to the table with the numbers. The court isn't going to accept, I just know. Nope.
Let me
20%.
I can't answer that in percentage.
You better be able to answer that in percentage. It's not that difficult of a calculation. It really isn't. Or some sort of quantity. He's just asking for some sort of quantity, and she can't give him a quantity. Once again, she failed on every single axis of this.
How would you find out the answer to that question?
I would have to research the Cash Apps, the Venmos, and the YouTubes back then. I was getting more cash type app payments versus ad revenue payments, and now it's just the opposite. I'm more ad revenue than Cash App or Venmo. I make very little money on.
So are you unable to say, as you sit here today, whether or not your revenues went down or up since QB allegedly defamed you?
They definitely went down. They didn't start coming back until the initiation of this lawsuit, when they were forced to leave my account alone.
I want to know how you're going to, how you can say that these numbers, the revenue going up and down, is attributed to her, as opposed to you saying that you want someone to die in a gas chamber, or Donald Trump is getting elected and the news cycle being different, or
Boom. That was the trigger. That was the trigger. And hi, Sharon. So good to see you. That was brilliant. So you see how the lawyer, if Betty, the YouTube lawyer, would craft every single question like that. But when you go through, a series of dry questions, and then you just launch with this truth that is so hard hitting. Let's hear that again. I thought that was just brilliant. And he poked at her most sensitive spot, Trump politics. And that was just, and she was like, let's get out of politics. And you will see after this, it is a complete breakdown, complete and utter breakdown. But let's hear what he said again.
Can say that these numbers, the revenue going up and down, is attributed to her, as opposed to you saying that you want someone to die in a gas chamber, or Donald Trump is getting elected and the news cycle being different, or your legal troubles in Tennessee.
I would like.
How are you going to specify that it is due to QB's actions in defaming you as opposed to something else?
She directed all of this.
She directed the election of Donald Trump?
No, she did not. You're starting to be confusing. And I feel like that's a little bit. So let's back up here.
No, we don't have to back up.
The question.
Mike, and that's another thing. I'll just repeat.
Yeah.
She doesn't know when to object. Like,
yeah,
the whole thing about Donald Trump, that would have been objected to as argumentative.
Oh, no question. No question. Yep.
And that would have been easily, sustained or whatnot, and the judge would not allow that. And it would have been like, move on counsel type deal. But because she doesn't have counsel, she doesn't know what is objectionable and what is not. Exactly. So that would have been absolutely objectionable in that type of question. And even like the gas chamber question might have been objectionable, but either way, you would object just to fuck up the flow on that.
Well,
one.
The way I could picture that going though, is if, what if she had counsel and counsel said objection, relevance, and argumentative.
Yeah.
Well, he could say, okay, well, how about what I'm trying to show is, and then he could pull out five or six different other examples of things she has said or done that would be completely true, and ask, how could that be, here are examples of the things that you've done. How can you differentiate the reaction or the repulsion from what you've done to what Queen Bee said about you? How do you differentiate those?
Yeah, but you'd still object to that. There's certain things you would object to, to preserve the record on that one, and also to mess up the flow. And that would have been definitely one of them. But she's too dumb. Like you notice in this whole thing, that's the problem when you're a pro se litigant. You don't know when to object. You don't know when to not talk so much. You don't know when to the one thing you do in a deposition is you listen to the whole question and you answer the whole question, and you answer the question and nothing more. And that's pretty much it.
Right.
She's too dumb.
Or you do stupid shit like this.
Your Honor, sidebar.
Okay, listen. What you have to
Since
there's
you
no
brought
way to do
this in-
sidebars. There's no jury here.
Okay, well, that's
so
me.
you do a sidebar to keep a jury from hearing things, but there's no jury. I don't understand, since both of you do true crime and you follow court, how either of you think this is proper.
You do stupid shit like that. You go to court and you end up looking like a complete and utter goofball on camera after talking the game.
Yeah, but isn't that also an example of how ridiculous the court system? Because that lady, literally, how long was that protective order? That was at least a week?
No, it was 8 hours over 2 days.
Oh, but still, that was too long.
It was far too long. That she was a magistrate and she was clearly in over her head.
Yeah,
I mean, no question. I keep saying no question.
No,
I keep hearing myself saying no question. I'm like,
no further question.
Another phrase.
Your new phrase would be no further question.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, let's keep going.
Eat it.
Then let's leave
How are you going?
politics out of this, please.
How are you going to say that the revenue going down is attributable that QB was the cause of it as opposed to something else going on in the world?
Sure. You just stopped me from answering that very question. You just stopped me because I have heard her direct these people. She can't do that by herself.
I'm asking, how did QB defamatory statement, not anything else she did, cause your revenue to go down?
Because she humiliated me, embarrassed me, and had people leave.
She had people leave?
I've asked.
Does defamatory statement make people leave?
Objection. I think this is starting to become oppressive because I've asked.
Another example of a bad objection. So finally she realizes, oh, wait, I could object. and say objection on the grounds of, now there's no judge there to call balls and strikes, but it would be on the record. Right?
Yeah, well, usually it's in New York City, all objections are reserved pursuant to the CPLR, meaning unless it's palpably improper or, irrelevant, basically, or mostly it's palpably improper question. And then what would you do is you would call the judge, or you would be like, reserved for ruling or something like that. And you'd go before a judge and say, well, the other person would be like, this person didn't answer this question. I think it's a proper question. They refuse to answer. Can you make a ruling that she answers this? We'll do another deposition and this person answers that question. But
Right.
in New York City, it's under the CPLR, unless something you're supposed to answer all questions unless it's properly improper or some other thing. So she doesn't know that. I don't know if the CPLR is in other places or rules are different in other. I'm not quite sure, but in New York, everything has to be answered. So I don't know there. So
what in a courtroom scenario, she would be like, objection, and then someone would go grounds, and she would say, it's oppressive. Right? I mean, oppressive is not grounds. If oppressive is not grounds, it might be argumentative, but then you have to prove that they're actually being argumentative rather than just asking questions, right? So, all right, let's keep going.
You've asked me. I've answered.
But we would contend that you haven't, and I asked you to answer it again then, if you believe you have. How did QB's statement that you had sexual intercourse with Dolly cause your YouTube channel to go down in revenue?
She had people go over there and
non-responsive. I'm not asking what people did. I'm asking how her statement.
Because when you, okay.
Singular statement.
Okay.
Another thing, I want people to listen to this and realize how many times Betty tries to bring other people into it, and it's just not going to, hold water. You can't just say, oh, well, this person did this and that person did that. No. You're suing Queen Bee. You're not suing, Stephen Fisher. You're not suing, and you have no proof of, Queen Bee directing Stephen Fisher to strike your channels or anybody else. So, anyway, let's keep going.
Okay, let's slow down.
So let me come back.
So, she was getting really, really emotional here.
Yeah. And that reporter was probably working double time.
Yeah.
Poor reporter.
The poor court reporter's like, slow down. Hold, please.
You got to realize it's a tough job. It's a tough job.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I think that report in some states you can work at like 180, in some states or 225. I think California is a little bit different, but this person, but it's a lot tougher when you're dealing with like argumentative people like this. It's like 10 times tougher,
Yes.
So.
Yep. And who speak a mile a minute when they're and raise their voice. I put that at the end of the clip just to show that was just another reason she lost this, is because she lost her head. She got way too emotional.
And she's broke.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me answer the question.
No. Hold on. Take a break. What?
No, I need to answer the question.
Let's please slow down.
I need you to quit confusing me and let me answer the question. So
go ahead. Just slow down.
Okay. So
have you applied for any jobs that you have not gotten since?
Right there. Another switch up.
Yeah. And another thing is, it's like she's arguing with the reporter, and the reporter's just simply trying to say, slow down or repeat your answer, because they probably didn't get it down. And if you don't know the question, then you probably should just ask the reporter, can I get a readback?
Right.
That's pretty much it. And they read it back, and then you get situated on the question. But she's arguing with the reporter. She's arguing with the attorney. She's losing her mind. She's not
accusing him of confusing her, rather than just, she can take control, like you just outlined. She could take control of that situation and not be confused.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and especially then, probably if you had a brain, you would probably answer you would ask for a read back, answer the question, say, "Can I take a break? I need to go to the bathroom." And you go
Right.
to the bathroom, and you just fix yourself, and you get into a situation, and then you come back. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and he's the other thing is it's not like he's asking hard to follow questions. It's not like he's I don't see any intention to confuse her. I see an intention to to strategically change topics immediately with a hard hitting question. And one that just goes boom, and then it's just going to provoke an immediate reaction that's more raw than her thought out lie, right? And that's what he does here. Let's hear it again.
And let me answer the question. So,
Go ahead. Just slow down.
okay, so
Have you applied for any jobs that you have not gotten since our client defamed you allegedly?
they've destroyed my name. Anybody put my name.
See, and she's just still on that track. She's just still on that track. So she can't say yes or no. She finally says, no, I didn't. But she has to go back to, she realizes that she completely lost the argument about how the loss of income resulted from the alleged defamatory statements. She knows, and she's still in panic mode from bungling that. So now she's more defensive, right?
In a
Not responsive.
No.
Is the answer you didn't? You have not
No.
applied for?
The answer is no.
Ma'am, I know that you're getting upset, but I do need to finish questions. Otherwise, we will not have a clear record. So my question for you is, have you applied for any jobs and not gotten them since my client allegedly defamed you?
I've applied for no jobs.
Okay, has YouTube ever terminated your account?
I'm sorry. I've applied for no jobs. I wonder if that means if in her mind she was saying all her entire life she's never applied for a job, or just in the last, since the alleged defamatory statements. But it's kind of sounded like she's never applied for a job. Anyway.
Yes, they have.
But your account is up right now, right?
That's correct.
So what do you mean by terminated?
So they were in the process of banning my account for copyright.
This is a big, big way that she fucked herself. She completely fucked herself because she insists that her account was terminated when it was not. And she lies about the process of getting terminated. And I'll point that out when she talks about that. But she completely fucks herself in this whole line of questioning about termination versus suspension, because she could have used the suspension if it was one that was actually caused by Queen Bee. The suspension could be good enough for loss of income. If Queen Bee had false striked her and caused a mass strike and did some fuckery in order to get her struck, then that could and she lost her channel for 7 days. She could show the loss of income for that 7 days or 14 days or however long she says. But no, she has to insist that it was terminated. She has to play semantics, even though she also admits eventually and also through leakage that it wasn't ever terminated. So I'm going to show that. Yep, she was totally unprepared. And she's the one that initiated it. Absolutely such fucking unserious silliness from somebody who thinks that she's the most serious person in the world.
Infringement from somebody that was working with Queen. We had from December on, she had been working with several people.
I guess I forgot to crop that one. Sorry. Crop that clip.
You use the word, quote, terminated, that your account was terminated, correct?
It was.
Would suspended also be an accurate word?
This was scheduled for termination, a full ban of my account.
Okay, so it was scheduled for termination?
7 days.
People, I just want you all to know that they do not schedule you for termination and give you a 7-day grace period. That does not happen. They will take there's different scenarios, but when your account is terminated, it is terminated, and you have to start another account. But you might even be circumventing if you start another account. And that it's possible that that's why she got hooked up on the term terminated, because maybe she did circumvent and she doesn't want that to be exposed, with a YouTube audit. Right? So, that's just conjecture, but she is making an argument here that is so failing for her, when if she could have proven that QB caused her channel to be terminated through fuckery, through things that are against TOS or against the law, then she could have proven that loss of income for that period of time. But she couldn't. She couldn't bring any of that because she fucking lied.
It was scheduled for termination in 7 days?
Yes, sir.
And it was scheduled for termination in 7 days because of 3 copyright strikes?
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Okay, and there were 3 copyright strikes, at least 3, that were submitted against the Bullhorn Betty YouTube channel, correct?
That is correct.
And those were not submitted directed by Queen Bee, were they?
No, they were not.
And because of those 3 copyright strikes, YouTube informed you that your account would be terminated in 7 days, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, yet your account was not terminated, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
See, right there. That is correct. Your account was not terminated, correct? That is correct. And then she says, "Can I elaborate?" You're going to hear it. It's like, you cannot. Because that, I mean, that's it. But just for anybody who's joining now, I'm not playing the entire full reading from Tosi's channel. I'm just playing the clips I compiled that I believe caused Benny to panic and back out of the lawsuit and swallow her pride and go to the table and say, let's make it go away. So anyway.
Can I elaborate on that?
You cannot. And my client is not someone named person who struck BHB's channel, correct?
I think that's, yeah, it might be the right spelling.
My client isn't that person, right?
Your client is not that person.
Was completely locked out of my account.
For how long?
It happened either earlier this year or late last year, but a channel actually was scheduled for termination. And said, unless YouTube has completely changed the way they do it.
I don't think she was scheduled for deletion. I think she was offline for a week. You know how they take you off for a week?
Yeah.
You can't live stream?
Right. She was suspended.
Yeah.
She was suspended, but she keeps saying she was terminated. Okay.
I think it went on for 14 days or 7 days, 7 to 14 days. This nightmare went on. I ended up having to call the FBI.
That's unresponsive. I'm just asking for how long. Do you believe that suspension of account is the same thing as termination of account?
No.
So was your account suspended or terminated?
It was being terminated, sir.
Was your account suspended?
See how she slipped that in there? It was being terminated, sir. But no, that's not a thing. Yes, she had to call the FBI, Flor Morena.
I can't believe that you'd call the FBI for copyright case.
I know. Why?
That's wild.
I know.
And it's like she cries
Why?
and she cries about like everyone else is going real life on her. But meanwhile, she's hiring private investigators to track down the YouTubers. She's getting files on them. She's doxing them. She's now calling the FBI and the police on them. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? And she's crying like people are doing this to her. And I feel like this is the type of stuff that she's used to doing to people. And she just naturally assumes other people are doing that to her.
Exactly. They get super paranoid because they know that that's what they would do.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Suspended for 7 to 14 days, or was it terminated for 7 to 14 days?
The way the rules work is whenever you have a suspension or a termination.
Non-responsive.
I'm answering your question. Whenever you have a termination or a suspension, you have 7 days to fight it. And I was in my 7 days to fight it. My account was terminated. I had to fight like hell to get that account back.
Do you need to take a break?
Yes.
Okay, you just set it aside, but Exhibit A to the second amended complaint is the contract with YouTube that you claimed was tortiously interfered with, right?
Correct.
Was provision of that contract, did YouTube breach, if any?
They terminated my account. I was no longer going to be able to make money on that particular account. I was canceled. Canceled.
A to your second amended complaint, YouTube never terminated it, correct?
Not officially.
They didn't
There you go.
terminate it, correct?
Not officially. Only one.
Not officially. So she just keeps using, these buffering words. It was being terminated. It wasn't officially terminated. So you've just admitted that it wasn't officially terminated. Therefore, it was suspended, and there's more leakage.
Once was I able to speak to them by email, and that was when they were trying to terminate the account. And
when they were that's leakage right there. When they were trying to terminate the account, it wasn't terminated. They were trying to suspend her account or terminate her account.
it was a serious matter. So I had an actual person that I was working with directly.
Okay, so everything you stated there was true.
Opinion based.
Do
I believe I have 192,000 viewers? Yes, I do. But do I believe people from all over the world somewhere in this country know who Bullhorn Betty is? Yes. Do politicians in the state of Florida know who I am personally? Yes. All these statements are true, but I know where you're going with it.
So, hi, Kathy P. It's so good to see you. This is getting into, is she a private or a public person? And he just played her a clip of her saying all kinds of things about how public she is and how well known she is and how she's known worldwide, right? And he plays that for her. Then, but after that, she continues to insist that she's a public or a private person, a private citizen. And I'm sorry, you can't just switch things up and go from public citizen, around the world to private citizen, especially when you stream nearly every fucking day on your channel. And you completely thrust yourselves into matters of public interest. But she tries to use word salad and, different word arrangements to get around it. And it doesn't work.
Yeah, you can't really. I mean, when you're in the multiple articles, you have a YouTube channel, you're on news, you can't really state that you're a private citizen at that point. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous statement to make.
Also, in the RICO, it says that she's a public figure.
Yeah, she is a public figure.
Yes.
That makes the standard of defamation higher. That you have to meet. The bar is a lot higher.
Yes.
I think she's, but that's interesting. She's like threatened like 5 different people with litigation in the future, which is kind of hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Complete bullshit. She must get something out of it. And so go ahead, people. Keep paying her to set completely unrealistic, false expectations about what can actually be done. Throw money at nothing. Throw money at the promise of the sky turning purple. Go for it. It's not my money.
And I want to clarify that those are my opinions.
Where do you think I'm going with it?
So she's saying, it's just my opinions that doesn't mean I'm a public figure. It's just an opinion. That doesn't mean I'm a public figure. No, you declare yourself to be a public figure. You can't just change the definition because it suits you, especially in a court of fucking law.
I'll leave it at that.
Where do you think I'm going with it?
You're trying to establish that I'm a public person, and I am not. I'm private.
Are you verified on X?
I am.
Formerly known as Twitter?
Yes.
Did you screenshot the process of doing it?
No.
You knew that part of this case is about whether or not you're a public figure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hyperbole doesn't.
There's no
Toasty said hyperbole there because that's how she pronounces it. Not hyperbole, but hyperbole.
Silver Turtle. Yeah, if the appeal is exhausted and they go to judgment, they could. But I have a feeling TikTok Tony's going to be the one that they're all going to go after. To be honest with you.
Yeah. So the amount hasn't been set yet. First, the appeal has to be, go through or be denied. I believe it'll be denied. Then it has to go back in front of the judge in Pennsylvania for a hearing, and after that hearing, it will be determined how much they owe.
Yeah, and by the way, since we're talking about that, what do you think of what Granny did with
I think it's fantastic.
Do you think it was a smart move? Because I never heard about it before, and I was like, "Wow, you can actually do that."
I was like, "Man, why didn't I think of that?"
No, I was like, "What the fuck?" I'm gonna do this whenever I get. If that ever happens to Queen, be like, "Okay, is this bullshit? Let's go to let's take this to the court immediately."
It would be one thing. Once again, the crux of all of this is that Brittany initiated this. Okay. Brittany initiated this, but they are still in a venue in Pennsylvania. Okay. And she had already chosen that venue. So it makes all kinds of sense to make her come to Pennsylvania and prove these things. And strategically, it fucking puts her on her back heels.
Yeah. Cause now she has to basically answer. And this, I mean, yep. I don't know if that North Carolina attorney can write her answer. Maybe he can. For it, but whoever's going to show up in Pennsylvania has got to be a Pennsylvania attorney, or it's going to be her. You know what I mean? It's either or. So
right. She's always representing herself. Or well, not Brittany, but sorry, I was mixing Brittany with
Betty. Yeah. You know, and I thought to myself, like, what? BJ is such an idiot. It's like, do you realize you just like put yourself in such a precarious situation now? I just couldn't believe it.
And there's a reason. There is a there's every reason for her mods to believe that they could be subpoenaed.
Oh yeah, just like Sonia. Sonia's full name and address was given out.
Well, and not just in Bullhorn Betty's case, but in Brittany's case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
she keeps bringing them into it, using them as her witnesses, right?
Well, she put in the cease and desist those people. So if you make a claim, if they're making a claim, the person being accused has a right to know who their accuser are, their names, and who they are, so that they might be called as witnesses, and see what the situation is. So it was a very stupid move, and I don't understand why these people put themselves in this position,
Yep. Cheesy Weezy, that could be true, that it was that she lost her monetization and you have that long, but that's not channel termination.
Yeah.
And it's not the same as, telling you lose your monetization and you have so many days to appeal to get the monetization back is not termination. That's just not, right? So, so when Cheesy catches up, she'll hear my answer to that. All right, let's keep going.
No question pending. What steps did you take to preserve the information that you submitted to Facebook to get verified?
Nothing.
Why not?
It was on the app. How do you preserve an app?
So here she is playing supremely dumb. How do you preserve an app? How do you preserve an app? There's all kinds of ways to preserve the content that you put your interactions from an app, all kinds of ways. And she just didn't look into it, or is pretending she didn't look into it because she didn't want to produce it. Right. So
how do you preserve an app? I don't.
Did you ever ask anyone how to preserve what you did to get verified on Facebook?
Everything that I have has been preserved since the action has come up, with the exception of one video being deleted by your client.
Okay. Are you able to generate a list of the members of this coffee club?
Yeah, they have we have a membership list as well as subscriber lists. I'll have to be screen captured. I don't know how to get those lists other than, screen capture for my computer. I don't think it's downloadable.
Have you ever checked YouTube reports on how to download that list?
No.
Have you tried looking on YouTube to see if you could?
I don't even really look at those metrics, honestly.
I don't even look at those metrics that would be key material evidence in my case. Cognizance of guilt, right there. Cognizance of she doesn't have a case. That she's lying this whole fucking time. That is just outrageous.
Do you remember being served with a request for production that gave you a link to instructions on how to download reports on YouTube?
I do remember seeing a footnote related to C. Yes, sir. That you put on my document. Yes, sir.
Did you ever click that hyperlink?
I did. I clicked on the hyperlink and saw the instructions, but I didn't because we were having issues with scope.
What steps did you take to preserve emails you received from YouTube since you filed your lawsuit?
I haven't deleted anything.
What steps have you taken to preserve emails?
To keep them there.
I'm sorry, I haven't.
And these are talking about the emails that she would have received from YouTube telling her that she had 7 days to terminate, 7 days to not get her account terminated. It would be those emails. She didn't preserve them. She didn't produce them. She couldn't prove her case. She failed on every single axis.
Please, my question. What steps have you taken to preserve emails from YouTube that you've received since this case began?
I don't delete. That's one of the worst.
But you haven't taken any steps to preserve them.
Other than leaving them there.
Okay, so other than the allegation that Kiwi stated on BHB's channel that BHB had sexual intercourse with YouTuber by the name of Dollyvision, aka Dollyvision, and I'm sorry for reading quickly, I realized I was doing that. Is that the only defamatory statement that appears in your second amended complaint?
I don't believe so, but...
Sorry? The only one that is still part of this case.
I don't...
She doesn't even know what the key complaints are in her own second amended filing, which is the active complaint. Doesn't even know. But if you're going to sue somebody and you have the burden of proof, you better fucking know that. You better fucking know what your complaints are. You better know verbatim what was said. And you better produce that shit. Not lie for 3 hours and evade and get upset and point your finger and get triggered.
Know how to answer that.
How much money did you get in that?
I want to say like 5, maybe 6,000 so far.
Okay, and what do you do with that money?
It's all been spent to my attorney. My attorneys cost me a lot of money there.
Okay, you mentioned this legal trouble in Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
How do you attribute revenue going up? Okay, when was the Bullhorn Betty YouTube channel first monetized?
Oh, I really don't know. If I recall, it was within a month, maybe.
Another thing that you should know, preparation. You should know. Preparing for a deposition can win or lose a case. She lost every single question, basically. Every single one.
I don't know.
And 3 iPhones?
2 to 3.
2 to 3 iPhones, 3 Samsungs?
At least.
At least 3 Samsungs, a Motorola, an LG that you've all had in your possession at some point.
Okay, so here is where I think another panic came in. She had to admit after saying that she just has 2 phones, she had to admit that she has several phones. It turns out to be 7 phones. She could have just said that. I got 7 phones. She knows the answer to that question, but he has to get it out of her that she has 7 different phones. She also has many different accounts. All of that is subject to discovery. All of it. And that would if I was as much of a liar, yes, 7 phones. And she admitted to having many YouTube accounts. So if if I was as much of a liar and a conniving fucking scammer as her, I wouldn't want any of that discovered either. I would panic thinking of that stuff coming out. It blows her many covers for her. Think of the web of lies that she's had to tell to get people to support her.
Point since 2023, correct?
21, 23.
So two iPhones, 3 Samsungs since 2023.
Yes, that sounds about right.
What contact information do you have for her?
We coordinate through the channel email as well as telephone number.
What the channel email?
I wouldn't be able to tell you that. I'll have to get back to you, the one on my email for her.
Well, speaking of levity, this was, I gotta say, just for a tiny little palate cleanser, I gotta say this was my favorite part of the transcript reading.
Who is Molly Golightly?
Crazy lady.
Crazy lady. I kind of want to see.
I love the way Toasty did that too. Crazy lady. I'm sorry, Molly Golightly is the crazy lady.
Bro, I kind of wish that Molly Golightly could react to that part of the
I
transcript.
know. Two crazy ladies calling each other crazy. Oh, it's so funny.
You know, so you said
Wait, what?
I mean, I swear to God, that's just the only thing I wish that I see Molly Golightly just like react to the transcript. Because Dolly lied to Molly's face.
Did he tell her no?
Yeah, they met in person. Molly Golightly and PJ and Dolly, and they met in person. And Molly Golightly asked him about I think 8 months ago, says, "Did you have sex with Betty?" And he said no.
Wow.
So he lied to her face too.
Wow. Okay, think of how many people are feeling betrayed right now. Most of all, Queen, of course, right? But all those people that they lied to all this time. How the fuck can you listen to one word out of their mouths? That's a big lie. That's a huge fucking lie. Ugh.
Channel email a moment ago.
Blank.
What? Okay, but you communicate using that Gmail account with her email account. You don't recall what her email account is at this moment?
Right. It's very limited. Most of our stuff is by text.
Question, do you have any other YouTube channels?
Answer, yes, sir, I do.
Here's where she outs all her. Hello, Spilled Tea Department. Nice to see you. Nice to see everybody else too. Thanks for being here. Hit that like button. Wait, let me go back 2 seconds.
You don't recall what her email account is at this?
Oh yeah, we're about to get into her many YouTube accounts. Once again, panic. All of those YouTube accounts that she owns and possesses are up for discovery in a trial, along with all the clips that he's playing for her that make her look like shit. Right?
Moment?
Right. It's very limited. Most of our stuff is by text.
Question, do you have any other YouTube channels?
Answer, yes, sir, I do.
Question, what are they?
Answer, well, I had a secondary account, Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories, which was taken down for, I don't know what. It was part of this thing that was recently returned back to me within 427 subscribers. And then I have the secondary Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories that has about 9,000.
Question, okay, so the answer to my question is yes, 2.
Answer, I think there might be some other ones I've set up, but I've never used.
I can guarantee you that at least 5 of those different accounts that Betty's owned has come in and commented on my channel.
Probably.
Oh, no question. There I go saying no question again. Absolutely.
You gotta say no diggity, no doubt,
No
baby.
No doubt, baby. No digging it out.
You gotta sing that song like no diggity, no doubt,
yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta do that.
All right.
I think I've got one called Bullhorn Betty Coffee House. No videos, no activities. I think Missing in Plain Sight, again, another channel that was set up with a different, thought process in mind that I never, so there's more than 2. but 2 active channels that I'm utilizing. So I want to make sure that's clear.
Question, okay.
Answer, the other prior channels have no activity. I haven't posted on them, posted videos, anything. They're just set up for other projects.
Are you verified on other social media platforms?
I think X is the only one I'm verified on currently.
Have you ever said about QB?
So right here, I'm demonstrating another brilliant switch up by the lawyer in this questioning. So here, how he's still talking about the topic of private citizen. Are you a private citizen? Social media accounts, and then he goes in for the again. So listen to this.
That she is a despicable woman that sold drugs to children.
Right there.
Ever said that?
Go back.
Media platforms.
I think X is the only one I'm verified on currently.
Have you ever said about QB that she is a despicable woman that sold drugs to children?
I think she's a despicable woman. I'm pretty sure I did say those things.
Did you say she is a despicable woman that sold drugs to children?
I'm pretty sure I made those statements. Yes, sir.
Have you?
So, like, you know, you have to be prepared for any question to come at any time. And you're getting the raw response. Yes, I think she's a despicable woman. And yes, I said that. And unfortunately, or fortunately for her, she's telling the truth here. She did say it. And that goes to Queen Bee's counterclaim. And so she knew she was going to lose the counterclaim as well, because she did say those things. She knew it was a lie, and it can probably be proven that it was malicious.
Yeah, you can easily, like, by her statements, how she said things that you put that in front of a jury, they would be like, yeah, this was said as retaliatory and malicious, and she knew it was false.
Right. And somebody, sometimes their move is to say, well, she did this, to go into deflection mode and the whataboutism and say, well, she did this and she did that and she did this. But then you're just showing motive for your maliciousness.
Yeah, pretty much. You just basically said, well, you did this, so you did this because you were mad. Yes.
You were retaliating. You were acting out revenge, not because it's real, legitimate. And thank you for being a member for 5 months, Music City Mom. I love ya. Okay.
You ever told her that, or said about her, that people who are supporting her are, quote, supporting a woman who has harmed a child and children, and not just a child, children?
And I do stand behind that.
I'm asking whether or not you said it.
Yep. Yes, sir. Sorry. This year.
Or okay.
Or I lost it maybe November of last year. Something triggered the new number.
Did Molly Golightly ever ask you or say she gave drugs to kids and you said yes?
I believe there was something on her channel something to that effect, but I'm sure we're going to see it. So I'll answer it after we watch it.
No, I'm going for your answer now.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, yeah.
Nope. You're going to answer now. And that's just good lawyering. Sorry. No, you're not going to. And in fact, if that magistrate in Lana's hearing could have been more like this lawyer, it would have been a lot less time. It would have been a lot less time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure something to that effect. I don't know verbatim.
You testified today that you have had sex.
Wait, you don't know a statement verbatim that is a material key clincher for your case? Pass. Go ahead, supporters. Keep throwing your money at painting the sky purple.
Sex with Dolly Vision. You had sex with JLR. That your account was suspended for 7 days, and you weren't able.
That's not.
And you weren't able to monetize it for 7 to 14 days. Correct?
That is incorrect.
Which part is?
So the lawyer is doing an awesome wrap up. That was an awesome wrap up. You've had sex with Dolly, you've had sex with JLR, and your account was suspended. And she said, no, it was terminated. And they get into this entire, as he's wrapping it up, they get into a whole nother fight about termination where he schools her.
Which part of that is incorrect?
You keep saying it was suspended. It was terminated. I received a termination letter that it would be finally They gave you a 7-day grace period,
And therefore, the burden of proof is on you to produce that letter that said that thing. And you have said over and over in here that you took no steps to preserve that letter and you didn't produce it. Fail.
within that 7-day grace period before the final termination, it is where I was at. I was only in a grace period of the termination. I want to make sure that that's clear for the record. This is not a suspension. They were terminating my account and I was within my grace period.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Phelps, I'd like the record to reflect that BHB's voice raised no less than 3 times.
So this is I put these at the end of the video because these are not necessarily legal reasons that she backed out or lost, but these are the, cognizance of guilt reasons. And her cognizance of guilt caused her to be emotional and raise her voice several times to the extent of having to be called out by the court reporter. Okay. So, and I also love B. Tim's impression of the court reporter. So that's another reason I put it at the end.
And she was jabbing her finger in the air during that response. I'm going to object that the response is non-responsive in that it's discussing things that do not actually have anything to do with QB's allegedly defamatory statement. Miss Russo, ma'am, I'm going to intervene
Okay.
right now and say something. This is maybe the third.
You sound like that voice is just hilarious to me. You sound like the third. It's like from an animated cartoon or something.
Yeah, I tried to do a female voice. Did not work out too well. Third or fourth time this has happened now. You're starting to raise your voice, and I'm just going to ask you to control that little bit.
It's going to happen. We're getting into some sensitive topics.
Well, no, I'm just telling you in a deposition, I'm just asking you to control your voice a little bit. That's all.
I'm sorry. That's all. That's all.
Oh, jeez, Louise.
Sorry. I was dying. Oh, when I heard that. So there you have it. That's my presentation for today. So I just want to thank Toasty and B. Tim for doing this reading. It was definitely a service to the community. And I hope Toasty doesn't mind. I'm sure she doesn't mind that I compiled these clips. I gave her credit and everything. But please definitely go over to her channel. Let me actually put her channel in the link in the chat here, just to make sure, to give fair credit here. And Burnt Toast, I mean, she's been covering this whole thing like a mofo. I mean, she covered this lawsuit like nobody else, and with facts and also a great sense of humor. She just did an amazing job covering all of this. So
yeah, she did a really good job, and she gets a lot of shit too from a lot of people that for covering. It's just weird that she gets a lot of shit for it. I mean, like, you got people going at her now like, oh, I thought you were gonna trying to go at her because like Queen's not showing the legal like receipts on that one, but they want to show like the exact billing. I'm like, you guys,
fuck that.
Yeah, you guys would have, if she showed it to you guys would still say it was fake or a scam or anything. It's like
nothing will
pleasing.
Nothing. If they can't look at that docket and see the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that were put into that case by Queen, then they're never going to be convinced. Never.
Yeah,
they'll always work around it.
Yeah, I mean, you have a situation where you got looked like 200 filings. I don't even know. I counted. I have to count it one day. And you have all this stuff, and then you have a deposition, and they still think it's like a scam. And then they're like, you have some idiots like, why? You got the lemon, of course. He's like, why is Queen Bee so focused on the fact that Dolly and Betty had sex? Well, that was because that was the main pillar of their case, of the case. That was like the main pillar. Like it was the main pillar. Obviously, that's kind of important to know.
That guy is just, I don't know why he thinks he could take people to court. He oozes malice, that guy. He oozes malice. You can smell it from his pores.
Bro, today he was saying that Queen Bee was like drugging high schoolers and with poison.
Well, there you go.
I mean, like the guy,
he's just going to pick up the mantle.
I mean, like the guy doesn't quite understand. Like he's an idiot and he's stupid and he's an evil person. I don't know.
Right. Well, I'm going to also share Queen's link as well. I know that she is she still needs to pay her lawyer more, and is she, Tim, raising a little more money for that?
Oh yeah, she's got a little bit left. I mean, she got a lot last night, but yes.
Right. Just, so I've said this before. I hope no creators take it personally, but I have just a personal policy against directly sharing people's links or being financially involved with any creator. I don't join memberships. I don't do that, but I will share their channel if they're doing a fundraiser and I believe in what they're doing.
Can I share my screen for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely.
So someone tossed me, a little birdie tossed me this.
Is there something, I've never done this. Is there something I need to do on my side to let you share the screen?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to say it. I'll just say it. Basically, there's a screenshot of someone in Bullhorn Betty's chat in December of 2023 stating, if it's truly is the truth, then you followed all the YouTube guidelines, you'll be back up running in 24 hours. And then Bullhorn Betty says, nope, they said I have to allow the 10 days lapse, but I will be back up in 7 days.
Oh.
And then Ruffles says, you spelled SF's name wrong. That's why you didn't find the license. So she was suspended for 7 days. She wasn't terminated for 7 days. And it was
she knew it. And she knew it. She knew it. She's just a fucking liar. Liar, Betty no pants on fire. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like and it wasn't even related. I think all of them were unrelated to Queen. And she was trying to say, like, SF's best friends with Queen. Like, at that time, she wasn't even on Queen. He never was on Queen Bee's panel. Never. Right. It was during the Sebastian Rogers case he jumped on a couple of times. And he's a very nice guy. I have nothing against him. I think he does great work. I think he's, he helps a lot of people out, I think sometimes he was a little trapped with the drama here and there, but, it is what it is. To err is to human, I guess.
Right. Well, thank you very much for the super chat. And I respect my audience. I hope you all know I respect my audience. You are all smart and engaging and funny. And I missed interacting with you. For those of you who missed it, I am going to start up my book clubs again, but I thought that the Virginia Giuffre book was already out, but it actually doesn't come out to the end of the month, but we're going to start reading that book because ever since the whole Epstein scandal happened and I found out that our, many years of our government, many administrations on a bipartisan basis have been not putting out those files. And then they said they wouldn't do it at all. Yeah.
Shocker. I knew that was going to happen. They did the same thing with Kennedy. It's just that you got to realize with that guy attached himself to so many people because that's how it works. That's how, you know what honeypot operations are. It's how he works. And he got a lot of people. And honestly, they don't want to be embarrassed. And you got billionaires, you got senators, you got Congress members.
And you got state secrets. You got state secrets too, because he reportedly operated as a spy.
Well, some people say that. Some people think he was with Israel. Some people think he was with the United States. There's a lot of conspiracies there.
We'll never be able to prove where he was, but he was somewhere, probably.
Yeah, I mean, my guess, you don't just naturally become a teacher and then run $1 billion hedge fund of a multi-billionaire out of the blue. Usually, you got to get a little.
He didn't just run it, Tim. He had full power of attorney.
yeah,
Full power of attorney.
and that to me is like kind of wild, actually, because
Yeah.
I mean, if I that was the most wildest thing out of the whole thing. But yeah, afterward, so
So I want to focus on the victims. I want to focus on what the victims went through. And I think a good way to dive into that topic is reading her book. She was the most high profile victim, and she also interacted with a lot of the victims in their collective quest for justice. And I want to disabuse. One of my main things I want to do is disabuse people of the notion of the perfect victim. Virginia Giuffre, she had a lot of questionable behavior and activity, but she was a victim. There's no question. No question. Here I go again.
you gotta say no diggity,
Yeah,
no, baby.
yeah. But she is I believe, when you are victimized like that as a child, your perception gets warped, your behavior gets affected, you become a different person. You are literally, you might as well be injected with a brain changing serum that just makes everything go haywire. And so it causes you to do stupid things, or, unsafe things, or to be very vulnerable to people. And that's what I think Virginia is an extremely, extremely vulnerable person. And who was raked over the coals many times over. So I want to focus on how it got to be that way. So I appreciate everybody being here. Please remember to hit the like button. I did share my pay links in the chat a few minutes ago in case you would, feel like donating in a different way. You are welcome to do it there. But I also want to thank B. Tim very much for joining me. It was very helpful.
No problem.
For you
It
to
was
be on
talk to you. I'll see you around. Bye.
Okay. See you around. All right, everybody. You have a wonderful rest of your day. And just remember not to give entertain or give attention to White Walkers in the community unless you just want somebody else to go through what Elevated Truth just went through. Fair enough? All right. Thank you all for being here. Love you all, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye. Oh, and I'll be making that video public as well. Bye.